Okay.
Okay, thank you. I like to have the explanation. I'm just going to sit down, honey. If you want to watch, you can,
Remember
sweetheart.
the email I sent you as to how to get on the web and get
Yes.
all of this? Well,
Yes.
this is what you would have gotten if you got through the right places. This is the census of Ireland 1901.
Yeah.
I'm giving you this,
Yeah.
which shows your Patrick O'Brien and Annie O'Brien. Annie O'Brien would have been your
Maybe?
oh, your great grandma. She would have been your grandma.
Yeah, Anne O'Brien.
So your dad was Patrick.
Yeah.
That's right.
And your mother was Anne, so that's her there. And then there was, at this stage, 1901, there was a Thomas O'Brien, a Patrick O'Brien Jr., and a Mary O'Brien, which would have been your mum.
Yeah.
And at that stage, she was 7 months old.
Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Okay?
Wow.
Well, that's the census, okay? So I'm going to give you that. And,
Thank you.
Then if you go forward to the census of 1911, which is 10 years later, you've still got Patrick O'Brien, Anne O'Brien, Thomas O'Brien, Patrick Jr., Mary O'Brien is still there, and she is now
11 years old.
11 years old, yeah. There's Michael O'Brien. There's Annie O'Brien, who's my mom. Now there's Bridget O'Brien, whom I don't know.
Biddy Bond. Oh, no, wait a moment.
It might have been Biddy Bond, yeah.
That could be the one that went to the nuns.
Could be, yeah, that could be her. That's the mom.
My father's sister.
Well, yeah, she was only, she was very young at that time. She was...
She was babysitting.
Doesn't sound right, Pat. Go
I
again.
know,
Give
but
us
I
a
think
grade.
she's 3 years old.
No, couldn't have been her.
Well, this is 1911.
Yeah, but she was in New York in 1895.
Yeah.
Oh, well then, maybe
So
she...
who's the
Oh,
Delia?
no. I don't know, by the way. And I was wondering if Delia was called Bridget.
She was.
Yes,
She
she
was.
That's
Yeah,
it.
Delia.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's what it is, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We
So-
call her Dee Dee. Yeah.
Dee Dee. So that is Bridget,
Bridget.
yeah?
Yes.
So they're all there then.
They're all there. The whole family is
So
there.
that brings you from 1901 to 1911. And these documents here are exact copies of the handwritten documents. And you will find somewhere these things here.
And how did you get these?
I got them off the web.
Oh.
But the reason they're easily accessible nowadays is that a lot of the main library did work on them and digitized them and made them accessible on tape. Now look at this one.
115.
Patrick O'Brien, who is your
And Antrim beat her
grandfather,
And Kerry beat Cork.
he didn't sign his name. He put down a mark, and it was witnessed by, because he couldn't write.
My father was kept at home to do the work.
See?
And he couldn't write.
Pat, what language did they speak? Let's say.
Yeah, well done. The Patrick, the father, and Anne, the mother, spoke both Irish and English. And Patrick cannot read.
I see that.
Okay.
Well, they wouldn't let you. You had to stay home.
And the others, Anne could read and write, so she was pretty good.
Our kids got a good education.
And Thomas O'Brien couldn't read. He was only 3 years old anyway. And the other kids obviously couldn't read.
But the grandmother,
She
her
could read and
grandmother
write.
could read and write.
She could read
That was
and write.
unusual in that time.
And no.
Yeah, she was. I know, yeah.
My mom told me. Yeah.
That was unusual in those days.
So that's of the O'Briens. That's 2 years, 1901 and 1911.
Put it here, Pat.
Thank
This
you.
is Dr.
Well,
Schenkenworth.
okay, you can do that.
Now her great grandson is a.
Now there's one other document I need to get to. Then I go back to 1856.
Wow.
1856, and there's nothing between 1856 and 1901 because the documents were burned in a fire during the Revolution. And in 1856 there was a thing called Griffith's valuation, which is a valuation of all property in the country. And for Culture Ball, which is the village that we visited yesterday, you find these names: Martin O'Brien, Patrick McLaughlin Jr., Martin McLaughlin, Owen McLaughlin. And one of these is one of my ancestors. I don't know which one. I think it might be Owen.
Owen, was it?
Owen Roy, yeah. So he might have been my great-great-great-grandfather. Then we come to the O'Briens. Anthony O'Brien, John O'Brien, David. There's just 2 O'Briens. Oh no, there's 3. There's a Catherine O'Brien. And there's Martin Walsh, Michael Walsh, and a Patrick Doody, and Mary Brennan, and a Martin Brennan.
That's Martin Bryan.
They weren't all in the same house, were they?
No, this is in the village, in the village.
In the village. Well, the best we could come up with was John O'Brien married Mary Walsh around 1865.
Yeah, I might have.
What have you got there?
Oh, this is 1856.
Are you taking a picture?
Certainly not.
My grandfather,
Why?
John O'Brien, was
Yeah.
married.
So I can.
You know McMillie,
Yeah.
You can know.
What's
his
this say?
father,
That's recorded.
sister. That's where the Mary was from.
Yeah, sounds right.
So I found the O'Briens and the McLaughlins in
So it's
County
been 5 minutes.
way back,
Yes, that was good.
the middle of the 1800s. Now, it was 1856. The famine had taken place just 5 to 10 years earlier. So they are survivors, tough people,
That's
Yeah.
right.
tough people.
That's why.
Okay, so that
Put it
goes.
there. Oh, that's
These are all the questions you're asking me, honey. They're giving me the
Yeah, that's the
answers.
one.
Yeah.
If you want to drink,
Census when they go around
That's a printed version.
house to house, every house
That
finds
there's
lives
well,
there,
we
like
can
right
do
through
that.
the,
Yeah.
in the house, how old they are.
Yeah.
After that, you're always afraid.
Okay, now I have the O'Neills.
oh, okay.
And the O'Neills in 1901.
Mary, you want to
The O'Neills in 91, in 1901, there's a John O'Neill and a Mary O'Neill who would have been the parents. And they were respectively 30 years old and 25 years old. And then the children, there was a Bridget O'Neill who was 2,
Yeah,
a Martin O'Neill who was 5 months,
Uncle Mark.
and a Margaret Regan who was a guest in the house. She was they
Relation.
said she was a scholar, that means she was going to school.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's yeah. And John O'Neill could speak Irish and English.
Is that you?
Is that your daddy?
John, yes, John was my father. Is that?
Was that?
Then he
No,
was
it's-
John's father, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was a great
Great-grand.
grandfather, yeah. But he isn't born yet.
No,
No,
yeah.
we're picking
And
up
he
on the
had
next one.
Bridget. They had Bridget.
Well, we'll come to that.
Had a great voice.
If we
and
go to
there was
1911, you've Bridget,
She had a great voice.
Martin, John, who's your
Dad.
husband's dad,
Yeah,
and then there's a Mary O'Neill, a Patrick O'Neill, and a Katie O'Neill. And there was one as yet not born who was
I think.
Might be Nellie.
Nellie.
Yeah. Oh,
Nellie, yeah, okay.
Kitty, was there? I didn't know any.
No.
There was a, and I think my father had an Aunt Elizabeth that came to this country. No. Right.
So they're the O'Neills, but there's no evidence of the O'Neills in the 1856 census in that area. Now, there might have been somewhere else.
Yeah, they moved.
And
I think they moved away from Mayo too, didn't they?
I don't know, they wouldn't move very far.
I'm filming. You can film later, okay? This is
I
mommy.
did find some O'Neills, but none of them in that area. How close to Bornacriga are the following parishes?
Yeah.
Tullanacora,
Tunnacor, yes.
is that near?
I don't know where it is. It's down
Clun
there.
Lumney,
What?
Clun Lumney. Didn't hear that.
Collooney.
Oh, Collooney, that'd be it, yeah.
Collooney was in Sligo.
Oh, it's a Sligo. And how about Clun Lara?
Now.
Yeah.
I have them now, but I can't swear it.
Yeah, they're the only O'Neills
Yes,
that I could find in the 1856 search.
yes.
That's my job. Is this the missing link?
No, it's not all of it. It's not the bit that I'm looking for.
Listen.
Oh, it is.
There's an interesting point on it.
What is the interesting point?
Banker-
Oh yeah,
there's a banker in the
I'm going to
family.
make an interesting point. We had a banker in the
Banker in
family
the family.
Oh my goodness.
We
way
had a
before
what?
you knew about it, okay? This is important, Anne.
Okay. We had a what in the family?
Banker.
Banker.
Way back, we had a
Banker.
banker, okay? Just hang on, I want to get to this.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. There was a guy called David Walsh, married a lady called Biddy MacDonald. Okay, and they had a daughter called Mary Walsh, and that Mary Walsh married John Puck O'Brien.
That was my grandfather.
There you go.
John, they called him Puck.
Yeah,
O'Brien.
and he had a son called Patrick Murty O'Brien.
Yes,
It was
yes.
your father actually,
Yeah.
and he married Anne Nolan. Okay.
Right.
Correct.
Now, let me think. I have a bit of action somewhere on Anne Nolan because she's from a very suspicious family. You know, we visited the Nolans when we were down there. Remember that?
Yes,
we
sure,
stopped,
that-
we talked to
yeah.
the mailman.
Yeah,
He
he knew
said
them.
they lived in that house.
Yeah, he knew them all.
I'm trying
And
to
then
find
there
us.
was Regan
It's a bit about
before
the
Nolan, was there?
money lending.
Oh yeah. I want to find out where. Oh yeah. So Anne Nolan's father,
There's the thing, that's one.
Pat